We are delighted to be joined by Denise Brown, who, as you know, is the UN resident humanitarian coordinator in Sudan. She is joining us exceptionally today from Tawila in North Darfur to brief you on the situation there. Denise, you have the floor, and then we'll take some questions. Please, thank you.
Good. Thanks so much, Stefan and colleagues. Yeah, as Stefan said, I'm calling you from Tawila. We're about 50 kilometers down the road from Fasher. It's as close as we can get for the moment. I wanted to explain how tricky it was to get here. So it took us 5 days, 5,000 kilometers through 3 countries, 3 different airplanes, and 3 days of driving. We had to go around because there's so many front lines within Sudan. It becomes very, very difficult to get where we need to go. So we've traveled through El Janina, Zelinji, Nertiti, and Gola before we arrived in Tawila a couple of days ago. I consider Tawila as one of the epicenters of, frankly, what is clearly a humanitarian catastrophe here. There's a good team on the ground. The people here, there are about 600,000 internally displaced here, mostly fleeing from El Fasher, neighboring areas around El Fasher, and of course from Zamzam in April. So there are a lot of people here. Just as a reminder, there are more than 10 million displaced within the country. So that's the situation here in Tawila. I wanted to highlight some of the pressing needs, and the first is stopping the violence. Stop the violence, stop the war, let us through. We want to get to where people are. We don't want to wait for people to reach us because by then, to be very honest, they're in a very difficult situation. We also need to be paying attention to the Kordofans. It's not just Darfur and El Fasher, which is horrendous, but we have similar situations in the Kordofan where supply routes are obstructed, food prices are skyrocketing, and humanitarian space is very, very limited. So when I'm talking about humanitarian space, it's about humanitarian community being able to operate, deliver supplies, deliver services as well. So we must keep the Kordofans on our radar screen. The other pressing priority is stopping that sexual violence. OHCHR has already reported on patterns of conflict-related sexual violence used as a weapon of war. This includes rape, gang rape, sexual slavery, sexual violence amounting to torture. So, you know, it is a very, very ugly situation with regards to sexual violence. And I've been speaking since I've been here in Tawila to survivors about what they're going through. Of course, we're very careful about that. I'm not having large conversations, but this is a major protection issue, and we have no indication of any slowing down of that horrendous situation. But I also wanted to highlight malnutrition as a severe need. Supply chains are disrupted. It's from Golo to Tawila, it took us 6 hours. We don't use the roads. The roads are in such poor conditions. We drove beside the roads on basically what are large tracks, and the only trucks we crossed were the World Food Program and UNICEF trucks. Because the commercial trucks, there's very few of them, so supplies are limited on the market. Food prices are skyrocketing. Access to clean water is limited. Sanitation is incredibly poor, and that's why we have the epidemic of cholera and dengue fever. So this is, I wanted to emphasize, a combustible situation for young children. Protection in general is just a major problem. Basic social services, mobility of the population, harassment, intimidation, rape, killings. Civilians in Sudan are paying a very high price for the violence. The obstacles we're facing, look, the Sudan, as you know, it's the size of France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. It's massive. The number of people in need is massive, more than 30 million. Active front lines, besieged areas. And I have to say, thank you to our donors. I think we are the highest funded humanitarian response plan, but we're only funded at 25%. So every meeting I've gone to since I've been in Sudan has been about huge acute need and the limited response because we just don't have the resources to do more. So in Nertiti, there's a very, very large IDP site where we're providing no services because we don't have the money to do so. And of course, the other major obstacle is the mining of the key access roads. And what I saw in Khartoum last week when I was there, unexploded ordnances left behind. I'll just finish, Stefan, with the principal reason I'm here was this is, an epicenter of the response. The humanitarian coordinator needs to be on the ground, but it's also because of its proximity to Fasher. You've seen the statement, I'm sure, by the High Commissioner for Human Rights yesterday, mine several days ago. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that people are continuing to flee Fasher. And yesterday morning, I met with a woman who had just arrived from Fasher with her 4 children, young children, 3 on her donkey, 1 on her back, 7 days going through remote villages to stay off the main roads. And of course, the baby was severely malnourished. That's just a consequence we should expect of people going through this horrendous situation and having to come to us rather than us getting to them. And then I met with a group of women who'd come from Fasher and Zamzam and talked about their partners, their husbands.
Denise, if I could stop, if I could stop you for a second. There's some noise, I think, behind you, or some feedback.
No, there's no noise
Okay.
here.
All right, it's on our end. All right, let's go ahead. Sorry.
No, let me just finish on that one, Stefan. I think we want to get to these people in our Fasher. The Secretary General has called for a ceasefire. We are engaged at all levels in the UN system to make this happen. But until we get a guarantee of safe passage, we cannot send the trucks which are ready to go, the personnel which is ready to go, because of that lack of guarantee. We've already lost over 120 humanitarian aid workers since the start of the war. Over to you.
Very much, Michelle.
Hi, Denise. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Thank you so much for the briefing. Couple of questions. Just on that note of trying to get the aid in, there was the statement from the Quad mid-September, I think. Has there been sort of any movement on that since? Are they in any way trying to assist with you trying to get the aid in? And just when it comes to the ethnic violence, I guess, we've repeatedly heard warnings that this could be a return to sort of 20 years ago. What's your assessment?
Go ahead, Denise.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, I can't comment because I don't know what the Quad is doing, but I can tell you that we are working very hard at this at all levels of the UN system to negotiate that access. But as of today, we don't have it. And of course, our concerns about Fasher are based on what happened in Zamzam in April with killing of what we documented more than 100 civilians who were caught up in that violence. So our statements are to say that there is a precedent for this and respect for international humanitarian law, as the High Commissioner called for yesterday, is absolutely essential, and it can be prevented.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amélie Botelier from AFP News Agency. Just to have a more sense of the situation where you are, could you tell us what was, you said that there are around 600,000 people now in Tawila. How many of them were there living in Tawila before the conflict? So we can have an assessment of the situation of how it was before. And you said you met with people having fled from Fasher. What can they tell you about the situation over there, since no one has been able to be there in months? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Look, what I am getting directly from the people I've been meeting over the past couple of days amount to, and of course, again, this is documented by the Fact-Finding Commission and by OHCHR, patterns of what I already said, patterns of rape, torture, extortion at the checkpoints, no guarantee of safe passage for the civilians coming out. So it's all of this, none of this is rumor, none of this is conjecture. This is all that we have been able to document over recent months. And I'll get back to you on the 600,000, but my understanding is that those are recently arrived in Tawila. But we'll check on that and let you know through Stefan.
Thank you. Gabriel, Al Jazeera.
Hello, Denise. This is Gabriel Alexander from Al Jazeera English. Thank you for the briefing. Could you just characterize your conversations, if any, and how they've gone with the government and or any officials from the RSF? Any sort of interactions you've had and how you'd characterize them so far in terms of cooperation on either side with you and your team? Thank you.
Thank you. I think, you know, the fact that I took up this new post on the 9th of September, and 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in Tawila, just down the road from Fasher, is a good indication that there is cooperation on certain side with the authorities in Port Sudan, and we have more staff coming. So I think we are moving forward. And I would also highlight actually the Adri crossing, which is working extremely well. Our trucks are coming across, WFP, UNICEF, UNHCR, our INGO colleagues. So there is movement.
Thank you. Any questions online? Abdelhamid?
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Dennis, for the briefing. I have two questions. First, have you met with Mr. Rampan Lamamra, and can you tell us what he is doing? Is he coming to the region? Is he coordinating the peaceful talks or the peaceful attempts by any other country? And the second, have you traced any foreign presence in the region? Have you seen any foreign nationals or interventionists or some people, or if the African Union is involved in any way in the region where you are? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For questions regarding the personal envoy, I would suggest that those be directed directly to Monsieur Lamamra's office. And on the foreign presence, I'm meeting Sudanese here, only Sudanese. That's all I can comment on. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Dennis. You mentioned that 10 million people have been displaced in Sudan. How many were displaced domestically, and how many fled the country? Do you have the number? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on the exact figure, but it is millions, and I'm stopping on my way back in Chad, and we're very grateful to the government of Chad for receiving the refugees there, but also, of course, in Egypt as well. But we can share numbers with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Thanks. Sorry to butt in again. Sorry, just to clarify, so when it comes to getting aid into El Fasher, there's nothing going in. The people are coming to you, so there's been no progress since Tom Fletcher spoke with the head of the RSF last week?
Local actors on the ground in El Fasher are doing what they can to provide some very limited basic assistance. It's totally insufficient, and that's why we need to move the convoys in. But there are ongoing conversations.
Thank you very much. Any more questions online? Okay, Denise, thank you very much. And we hope to next time we see you in person. And safe travels to you and your colleagues, and our thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye. All right, good afternoon.